Hey guys, what's up and welcome back. Today's video I am very excited to do because it is a review video and it is on an eyeshadow palette that I have been lusting over for a very long time, and it is the Natasha Denona Gold palette. I'm going to be talking price, formulas of the eyeshadows, if I like this product, if I don't. I was really excited to receive this as a birthday present because it is a pricey product, and I was really debating about actually purchasing it for myself. So I'm very excited that I actually got it as a gift, and now I can review it for you guys and tell you if it's good or not, if I think it's worth it for you. So if you're interested to hear more about the Natasha Denona Gold eyeshadow palette, then let's get into it. And I will also be having a demo at the end of this video. This is the Natasha Denona Gold palette. It's very shiny. It's not leather, kind of pleather feeling, if you get my drift. It feels different than any palette I have, that's for sure. It feels very luxurious to me. It has like nice stitching and embossed letters on the front, and then when you open it, it has a mirror. It also has a little plastic piece over the eyeshadows, and it tells you the names of the eyeshadows on that. You can tear that out or keep it in though, so if that like annoys you and the names don't really matter to you, you can just kind of tear it out. So I like that about it because not everybody wants to keep this. I will, just because I want to know the names of the eyeshadows. And then these are the eyeshadows right here. You have 15 different eyeshadows in this eyeshadow palette, and it comes in all different finishes. They have mattes, metallics, kind of shimmer shades, and then one duochrome shade. And I will get into all the shades in a minute. Firstly, this is a $129 palette. So this is kind of why I was reserved in buying it in the first place, just because it's a lot. $129 is a lot for an eyeshadow palette. I'm sure that's, you know, a lot for pretty much anyone for an eyeshadow palette. That's why I was having an inner struggle with it. I wanted to try Natasha Denona for a while, and she of course has her mini palettes as well, which I'm not reviewing in here, but they are 5-pan and they're $25 in comparison to the 15 shades being $129. Natasha Denona is cruelty-free, so if that's something you look for in makeup products, this product is cruelty-free, which I think is great. And then each shadow is 0.08 ounces, making it a 2.5 gram palette in total. Now, if that's something you don't care about, like me, I mean, that mainly pertains to people who are looking to go through their eyeshadows, because if you have a smaller amount of product, obviously you're going to use up the product faster. But just getting into it, it is 2.5 grams of product in total. Inside packaging is also a foam, so around the eyeshadows it's like a squishy foam, and then it closes with a magnetic closure. These palettes are made to be able to be taken out of this packaging and put into your own kind of Z palette, customizable palette. So if you're interested in doing that, you can also do that as well. But I feel like if you're paying $129, for me personally, I'm not going to depot it. I'm not a big depotting eyeshadow person to begin with. That's my preference. If you are, you can do it with this palette. So that is an option with this palette as well. Now, getting into the different kind of textures of eyeshadows in here. First, you have the matte, and there are 6 mattes in here. These 3 right here, and then these 3 right here. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to pick out the mattes in this palette. A couple of these mattes, however, especially on camera, look the same. So this one up top and then the corresponding one on the bottom kind of looks similar, but in person you can tell there is definitely a difference in the mattes. So there's, just to make note of that, there's that really pretty mustard shade, and there's a really pretty like dark teal color, which is really pretty for like smoking out an eye look, and that's what I would mainly use it for. I'm not a big smoky eyeshadow person, but if you are, I don't know necessarily if you're gonna get a ton of smoky looks out of this palette. I think this is more of like an everyday palette. Maybe that makes the price more worth it to you as it does me, and that's why I was really questioning about picking this up, not only to review it, but I'm thinking these colors can be worn pretty neutrally on a day-to-day basis. So if you do want to get your money's worth out of a palette, I think that's kind of important as well, especially if you don't wear like super dramatic looks, you know, so that's also something to note. So I really like the 6 mattes in this eyeshadow palette. I feel like they're good for the crease and, you know, slightly deepening up the crease. I think there are, you know, different looks you can get with the different mattes as like starting out shades, which is how I use it. So there's more like a beige matte, a warm matte, then like a little bit more of a neutral matte, and there's also a mustard and that teal green shade. And then I'll pop up a picture right here just so I don't have to keep holding up the actual palette because it makes me a little bit tired, just saying. So personally, I really enjoy the mattes in this palette. I think they're very easy to use. They're very easy to blend. And that's something that's really important to me because if they're hard to blend, sometimes you put down the color and then it won't blend out and you kind of look like you have a splotchy eyeshadow look. I did not feel like I got that at all with the mattes in this palette, especially the teal green shade, which I was kind of worried about. So I think the mattes are really good. I think they're like top tier mattes of any mattes I've ever tried. The ones that are pretty similar to me are from Melt Cosmetics. If you've ever used a Melt Cosmetics eyeshadow, they're kind of similar to me anyway. Next up, like the more shimmery shades, I really do enjoy. I really think they're beautiful. I have put them on my eyes plain just on an eyeshadow brush, and other times I've wet my eyeshadow brush with Fix Plus or water or something like that just to intensify it, and I think they intensify really well. I also think if you put them on dry, they're very everyday appropriate. Even if you're gonna wear it to like an office setting, I feel like they're okay to wear there too. But then you have the more like topper shade, which is on the bottom right and the top left. So those shades I think are really beautiful. Those especially I would use wet. Also the like really bright middle top shade, those are so pretty. I love them to top other eyeshadows in this palette, whether it be a shimmer shade or even kind of a matte shade. They can also be worn by themselves, but they are like a very sheer kind of topper shade is how I would best describe it. So for me, those really benefit from a wet brush. Now, some people don't like wetting their brushes for whatever reason, or that's just not a method you use when you do your makeup, which is perfectly understandable. Me, I'm okay with doing it, and I do it most times. I use shimmers anyway, so for me that's not a big issue. There's also that duochrome shade, which is in the top right. Ah, that is so pretty. I like duochromes anyway, but that's just like a pretty goldy gold. It's very complex to me. It's like a green pink gold shift. I really like it. That intense bright gold really makes a statement as well, and I really do like the shimmery greeny teal in this too, especially with that green smoked out on the outer corner. Now I have done looks from this palette on my Instagram. I always list my Instagram down in the description box, so if you want to check out any of my looks that I've done or mini tutorials, they are on my Instagram. And then the wear time of these shadows are very good. The mattes last all day. The shimmers kind of go into my crease a little bit, so maybe it might benefit from like a glitter glue or something like that. I don't personally own a glitter glue. That's not really a method I use, although it going into my crease, you know, after hours of wear doesn't really bother me either. So I'm not the best judge of that. I also have very hooded eyes, so if you don't have hooded eyes, it's probably not going to be an issue for you anyway. That's just something to keep in mind though. So closing out this review, who would I recommend this to? Is it worth it to recommend? And do I like it? First off, I love it. I love this palette. I've used it so much since I got it, and I've liked every look I've done, which is really amazing to me. I mean, gold is kind of an eyeshadow color I gravitate toward anyway. This palette I would not recommend to someone who loves cool tones because there's only those two kind of teal shades in there, and those are kind of cool shades, but the rest of them are pretty warm. It's a gold palette. That's not like shocking, I hope, to anybody. So I would recommend this to someone who likes natural, neutral gold looks, and someone who likes to spice it up. because I feel like the $129, it's a lot, right? So if you're gonna buy this eyeshadow palette, I wouldn't recommend it if, say, you like to get new eyeshadow palettes all the time and you find yourself not using older eyeshadow palettes. I feel like $129 for something you're not going to utilize to the maximum, I can't recommend it that way. But if you're like me and you like gold eyeshadow, you like trying out new eyeshadow formulas, and you can find ways to use this multiple ways as like natural makeup, more intense makeup, even like mixing this palette with another palette, someone who's going to utilize this palette to its fullest extent, can I say that? He's the person I would recommend it to, just because of its high price tag. Personally, I am so happy I have this palette. I love the formulation of her eyeshadows. Any of the eyeshadows in this palette, I really love how they perform, how they wear, what they look like on my eyes, and I would recommend it to you if it definitely does look like something you would like and the price does not scare you, or it's in your budget, because obviously $129 is a really high price tag. All in all, I love this palette. So I'm gonna move on to the demo portion of the video, but that wraps up the actual review of this palette. And I hope you return to see another video by hitting that subscribe button down below. Okay, so first off, I'm just taking a fluffy blending brush with the shade Aria into my crease. And I'm not doing this very precise at all. All I'm doing is pretty much just fluffing it in the crease and blending it out. I start on the outer edge and then work my way in, building up product as much as I need, dipping back into the pan. And I do that a couple times until it's built up enough for me. Then with a more dense, fluffy blending brush, I am taking the shade Teak, and I'm first starting on the outer corner to blend the color and then slowly moving more toward the inner corner of my eye with less and less product without picking up more product. And you can see this shade really does build up pretty well for a mid-tone shade. Then with a more pointed, kind of densely packed smudger brush, I'm taking the shade Log, which is that deeper brown matte. And I am first starting on the outer corner again, putting down the most pigment, and then I am slowly building it up in the outer corner and then slowly moving it inward. Then I'm taking a flat shader brush, and at first I started dry just to show you that. I took the shade Oro, and as you can see, dry, it is there, but it's not full-on pigment. So then I started with a wet brush with Fix Plus, and you can see how much intensity a wet brush gives this gold metallic shade. So I just build that up on the lid. Then with a thinner lid brush, I'm putting sparks in the inner corner. And then a smaller detail brush with Log on the lower lash line. Then I just added mascara to finish the look. So I hope you liked that demo and found it helpful. I hope the review was helpful as well, and I hope it swayed you in one way or the other. Subscribe down below if you want to see more reviews like this. But until next time, bye.